Victor Kiplani, who's chairman of the think tank Geocase, joining us live from Tbilisi. Okay, so the ruling party, we just saw elections in Georgia. They were lucky to barely reach the threshold that had been agreed, that if they didn't meet it, it would have triggered another round of elections a year from now. So why would the government take this extreme step of jailing a former president?
Thanks for having me. So, with regard to stepping over the threshold, I think that the ruling party has got enough comfort by reaching enough votes to prevent any snap elections. As for the question which you just raised, let me remind the audience that Mikheil Saakashvili, who is facing 2 effective convictions, has crossed illegally the Georgian borders, which has triggered his arrest. As I've said, he's facing 2 the convictions that are effective at the moment being, and 3 criminal charges are being processed. So on 2 occasions, the Georgian authorities have asked the official Kiev to extradite Mr. Saakashvili. On both occasions, those applications have been refused. So as you could appreciate, a sheer fact of crossing the Georgian triggered and pushed the Georgian authorities just to enforce the criminal proceedings in a way as it complies with effective Georgian law.
Yeah, the political situation is already so divided and so volatile, though. It wasn't long ago we saw during a protest, far-right supporters beat to death a cameraman. Doesn't this move to immediately convict him for 6 years and say we're not going to let him out, doesn't this just make the situation worse?
There are 2 angles whereby we could assess a given situation. Angle number 1 is from the point of political reasonableness and considerations. And therefore, I could, to some extent, share your view when you're saying that when it's such a high polarization and radicalization, whether arresting the former president is the sensible move. But the second point, which we've discussed at the very beginning, either you have to comply with the law or you have to reject the law. And I think that in that respect, of course, we're not judging now whether those convictions or criminal proceedings are based or baseless. But nevertheless, when there are clear convictions which have been effected by the Georgian justice, those convictions and those judgments have to be implemented. And imagine for a second a hypothetical situation when having those convictions, Georgian authorities refuse to implement those. Definitely that would not show the face of Georgian justice in a proper manner. And that would raise even more the sensitive issues. So again, without getting into the details, what stood behind the political considerations for arresting ex-President Saakashvili, what is on the surface that the Georgian authorities have enforced effective court judgments, and that's what we're facing now.
Yeah, and you can also make the argument that Saakashvili, by returning in this way, was also stirring things up. Victor, appreciate it.